Welcome once again to our weekly podcast. We do this on Wednesday evenings at 7 Belize time. We leave you to figure out the difference on the East Coast and the West Coast, wherever you are. We'd like to just say thank you for joining us. Last week we had a fantastic show. We had Christina Cook. And while I don't agree with Miss Cook and everything she said, I was left impressed. She has a quality that I like to see in our elected officials. She represented herself well. Tonight, of course, we're going to have the other side of the story, which is important to also showcase. Before we go on, and there's a couple of things that we would like to touch on. First of all, we'd like to offer condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Glenn Tillett. Glenn, of course, passed away this past week. He was a well known journalist, community activist, one of the men with the biggest vocabularies I have ever met. And what the guy who actually got me into the field of journalism. I was writing for the Amandala, and Glenn was the man who was in the editor over there, and he was the one who I dealt with directly. Actually, went, I never dealt with Evan Hyde, and much of the time. And Glenn was the one who I looked to for um, advice and instruction. So I want to say condolences to Glenn and his family and friends. I also want to say condolences to Buddy Brown. Buddy's nephew passed away, and it's been a tough year for Buddy. Buddy has lost his sister, his brother, and now his nephew. But we just can only pray that he stays strong. In all of this, Buddy has seen fit to do a toy drive, and he's always out there helping people. Buddy himself came right on the edge, what, a year or two ago. It was just in the early stages of COVID when many people thought he was really gone. He bounced back and has been back out there giving trouble on Facebook. We always look forward to his humor and his insightful comments. We want to say condolences to Buddy and his entire family. There's also another person who we lost last week, Derek Gill, well known in the New York community. When I was in New York, we ran together. There's a crew out of East New York that we attended all the parties and whatnot. Derek was a key member of that group. So we were like brothers. I was in and out of his house and whatnot. It'll be a big loss for Derek. I have to offer condolences to his brothers, Wayne, Errol, of course, Selvin Saldano, almost like a brother. You had Roy Gonzalez was in, not Roy Gonzalez, it was Roy Sandiford was in that crew. His sister, Derla Gill, of course, his another brother, Anthony. Also, condolences to the entire family. People, we do this every week, and we have two co-hosts, Joe Cowie and Gregory Morrison. Joe is in Belize City along with me. Gregory is in LA. We try to bring you topics of current issues, discussions that will make you more, if nothing else, enlightened and abreast of what is going on in our world today. The situation in Gaza is still grim. I have to say that I really pray for the people over there. I hope that this ceasefire will not only be extended, but that this war, or it's not a war, it's a conflict, it's a slaughter actually. This situation over there has to be resolved. It is unfortunate. People are dying, people are suffering, people are living in a system of apartheid, and I see that there have been some people have been upset for the use of that word, but there's no other way to describe the situation over there in Palestine. We hope that something is done, that the world will stand up and say to those Israelis, enough is enough. You cannot be allowed to do this. I think at the end of the day, the US itself, while it has been bordering complicit, if not fully complicit in what is going on, they themselves will be at the forefront of bringing this issue um, to justice, because the American people, by and large, are good people, and they're not going to allow this to happen and just sit still. So we look forward to the resolution of that. With that said, CY, I think without further ado, we need to bring in our panel if these guys are available. If not, let's get this show on the road. Um, CY, are you there? Folks, there are a number of issues we're going to be dealing with tonight. The primary one, of course, is we're hearing the other side of the situation down south. We know that last week, Christina Cook gave a good account of herself, and we had a lengthy discussion. She was gracious enough to stay the entire show with us for the 2 hours. We are now tonight joined by Mr. Harold Usher. I see Harold there, but I believe it is Harold, is it? Mr. Usher, are you there? Joe, welcome to the show. Are you there? Can you hear me?
It's Harold.
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Mr. Usher, are you there? You're not hearing me. Miss Garvin?
Yes, I'm saying it's Harold.
All right, Harold. It is Harold. H-E-R-A-L-D.
Right.
Okay, well, all right. I was thinking about it. Miss Garvin, yes, you unmuted yourself there. That's good.
Yeah.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night.
And Mr. Michael Kemp is also with us. How are you, sir?
Hi, good night, everybody. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
All right, very good.
Can I ask you guys? For this is Joe Curry, one of our. He's a co-host. He like to try put himself as just visiting, but he's a regular on the show. So he will be here with us this evening. I'd like to ask before we go on that you guys introduce yourselves. What role do you play in all of this? Mr. Usher, can you maybe go first? I think we have a delay with Mr. Usher.
Okay, well, I'll start. I'm Harold Usher.
We're not. I hope you're not up on WhatsApp, because WhatsApp has been horrendous of late. With their you're back, Mr. Usher? Are you there? You're gonna have to maybe log out and log back in, see how that works.
Yes, I'm hearing again now. Right.
All right, there you go. There's something, yeah. All right, go ahead, Mr. Usher. Then you're a chairman of one of the villages. Okay, I understand.
You hearing me now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes, I'm the chairperson of Emery Grove Village. I'm the chairperson of Emery Grove Village, and also I must say that I am also the chair of several groups here in PG in the Toledo district.
Okay.
One group is one of the groups actually that I actually leads well, at least I plays the role as the chair, as the leader, is villages that are non-Mayans, because we stand together and we actually we're striving for the same goal, not because we all are affected here in the Toledo district.
Very, very good. Miss Marilyn, could you give us a little background?
Hi, good night. My name is Marilyn Garvin. I'm presently the president of the National Creole Council. We were elected this December. Will actually be a year, but I've been with the council, I guess 10 plus years in capacity as treasurer. So I've worked alongside Ms. Myrna Manzanares. So right now I'm in the capacity here as the president of the National Creole Council.
Wonderful. Mr. Kemp?
All right, good night again, everybody. My name is Michael Kemp. I'm the vice president. I try my best to be Marlon's right hand as best as I can be with the National Creole Council. I'm also working with SICA, along with the president of the Garifuna Council and Afro Descendant Project, to preserve intangible cultural history. I, like Marlon, was elected this December will make a year, and I am a strong proponent for our Creole culture and keeping it alive. So
Wonderful. Ms. Garvin, would you say that the Creole as a council and as a group in Belize are against the communal land matter in the South? We're not with it? Is that it?
I don't really want to say that we're against it. We just ask that for the matter to be resolved fairly. I understand and I appreciate what Christina Christina had to say about Maya, their indigenous and their communal lands and things like that. But I think at some point in time you have to draw the line somewhere. You understand? So to be fair, we just ask at the end of the day that fairness preside over everything. What is theirs, you give them, and what is entitled to the Creole people, other non-Mayan, um, have them be a part of it too, and have them get their share of what is it that exists down south and the entire country. So if you look at it, it's just so happened right now with this whole consent order, everything is coming to light. But speaking with other chairpersons from Mafrodai, Barranco, and things like that, the situation has been happening for a while.
You,
So yes.
you spoke at chairpersons, and then we hear the term alcalde. What's the difference between the
Yeah.
two? And do some villages have chair people and others have alcaldes? Is that it?
Yeah, you could, Mr. Osha could elaborate on that, the difference between seeing it as a chairman,
Yeah, as opposed to an alcalde.
alcalde.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Mr. Asha, are you are you Garifuna or Krill?
Right.
You're a Garifuna?
I'm Creole.
Oh,
A
good. All right.
Creole.
Creole.
Mary Grove is a Creole.
When I say
Creole.
I know because I know some ushers that actually are will turn themselves as Garifuna. I was
Mary Grove
wondering.
is a Creole.
Yeah, I would have wanted to have had a Garifuna on here just so we could get an idea of where they stand.
Yeah, it
As
would have
far as
been good.
yeah, because I see it looks that like maybe the Mayans have been making overtures to the Garinagu to try and get them over on their side in this fight, and almost promising them helping in their fight to get to be indigenous.
If you had
actually,
listened, oh sorry, who's speaking?
yeah, sorry.
Michael.
Actually, the president from the National Garifuna Council shared with me her sentiments of support in what is happening with our cause right now. We had a conference a couple weeks ago where we brought up this same issue. Remember, the Afro descendant population in PG is the minority. It's not that we are the majority there, and so we have to be very careful that we protect the rights of the minority. And so the Creole population, the Garifuna population, the umbrella we fall under isn't just Garifuna or Creole. We're all Afro descendant people. And so that's the common trait we share. So if for Afro descendants, it's gonna be helpful for the Creole population and the Garifuna population together that we stand on the same path when it comes to this issue. So that's where you saw at our press conference the different chair persons come in. And the term alcalde, that is not for our village. We have village councils that have village chairmans. That alcalde term is a term used in the Mayan indigenous villages. So, Mr. Oshad, I know alcalde.
Good.
Man, that the chairman at the village.
All right.
Wow,
Let me
Calvin.
introduce to the show Mr. Gregory Morrison. Gregory, good night. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. Good evening. Sorry, I had
evening.
some internet connection problems and it kind of delayed me. Thank
Greg
you
is
very much.
Gregory is the third leg of our stool. We stand on a three-legged stool here, the three hosts for this. But it's interesting because this matter seems to be heating up. Ms. Garvin suggested as it's because of the communal, the court order that was issued. Have you seen a difference in the attitude of, say, the Mayans in that area after that court order was handed down?
I think Mr. Osha could really elaborate. When we heard it on the news, yes, we saw the Mary Grove and they had a back and forth with the Christina, no, but we actually physically went down to a Mary Grove to witness for ourselves the situation. And that's when we realized the extent of what's happening down there. It's one thing, that's why it's good to listen. You always say it's 2, 3, 4 side of a story. And in this case, it was really true. If anybody out there listening and just listen to one side, like the Maya aspect, you would think, whoa, give the Maya the land, they deserve it. Oh, you know, but it's not so. What the situation and the impact that they're doing when it comes to the Mary Grove villagers, it's terrible. It's like they got an order to desist from building, and yet you turn around and you go and do your inspection to find out, and they're not building board structures, it's cement. That's, I mean, it's like, it's ridiculous. And the way how the government or the police or the quote unquote the people on top supposed to adhere or to ensure that the what you call the agreement that they signed, that they're not supposed to build, they didn't impose, they didn't do it. It's like they left them to do what they wanted to do. So it was really sad. We
Let me,
actually went there and we witnessed and we video. The guys were out there, and coincidentally, a young man went there and he's saying, see, I have title. Somebody from a Mary Grove, he had title to the property.
let me ask you a question.
Maya residents, they're cutting out his property.
Let me ask you a question. To build in those villages, do you need to get a building permit from the lands or building
Check
department?
with Mr. Usher. So Usher
you
can
hear me?
answer that.
Mr. Usher, don't be shy. Jump in for you.
Do you need a building permit before you can start construction of a structure?
No,
in
what
those
happened is
villages?
that
He's breaking up.
what happened, it should, because of recent, at least, yeah, since we have the change of government, actually they started doing so. And the thing is that what I must say about that is that these folks from Laguna, they actually worked under the instruction of the MLA. The MLA actually surveyed lots that had already been surveyed legally, and people had documents that they had to survey it, and it was surveyed legal, and they actually took these same parcels of land and cut it up into pieces without a licensed surveyor. This surveying was done by members from the Laguna village under the MLA umbrella, and they actually just came all the way out to the highway and just start giving out
But
these
then
parcels of
it
land
seems that
to the Mayan peoples. And
it seems to me that the whole construction of any building without a proper building permit would be illegal, and that should be enforceable by whoever is the city government for that area, right? Because right now that land, I believe, fall under Amerigrove jurisdiction, doesn't it? Or does it fall under Laguna?
And well, what happened is that since
no, I'm talking
this
in
land
documentation
actually,
that exists right now.
This land actually falls. Yes, because the land was actually given to the members of the Emerald villagers, and the recommendation actually came through the Emerald Village Council, right? But what happened since this court order, the members of the MLA actually just started stronging land, and they feel like they can do whatever they want because of the court order. So they just actually, to be honest with you, Laguna has moved what we know, or what they know was their boundary about 3 times now since the court order. And now they are way at the roadside. I'm claiming because of the court order. And then
that would be illegal.
Because of this. Yes, but what happened because of this mile and tender, most of the time people from the government and department choose not to interfere with it, and that is exactly what causes most of the problem. Because when we write, when we ask, when we seek assistance, nobody actually listens to me. I have here beside me a letter dated all the way from 2021 where we were complaining and asking for assistance and nobody actually assisted us, right? So the thing is that when
Someone is responsible,
these
right?
people started to in definitely somebody have to be
that's why
responsible.
we're asking Mr. Usher to ensure that they document and they video all of these instances, because it's like he's writing, he's complaining, and nothing is happening. The entrance going to Laguna, it's not Laguna Road, it's just a road going to Laguna. And we're asking for them just to cease and desist until they
Exactly.
finalize the boundaries, where is it that Laguna fall
Let
and
me
where is the Mary, but then they're not doing that. So
let me understand this. Laguna is a Maya village, and Yamiri is a Creole village. Is that it?
Creole,
And
correct.
they border each other. And are
Exactly.
they okay? And so the people from Laguna
Exactly.
are now infringing on the territory of Yamiri village. Is Yamiri does Yamiri have a defined space, a border? You know
Yeah.
where the village limits are?
That's what I'm
Yes,
saying. Was there an
Mr. Usher actually
official?
had a map, and that's why
Okay.
it would have been important, like within this discussion, if they could have shown the actual layout. When we had a meeting with Minister Dolores and Deputy Colonel Hyde, we did a printout of the map to show them where is it that Yemeri on the map compared to where Laguna was and how far they have encroached on.
You just muted yourself,
Yeah.
Marilyn. You muted yourself. I believe that was
So they
inadvertent.
themselves were surprised. So to be fair, people need to understand the layout of the map and where is it that
Right.
Yemeri lies on the map compared to Laguna, and they'll get a real understanding and appreciation of what's
So
happening.
what I want to kind of establish is that a Mary Grove map was a map that was prepared by the Belize Lands Department. Is that, and that's an official map that had existed long before this dispute had arisen.
Mr. Usher, possibly.
He's having a little.
Exactly.
My
Exactly. What happened is that in the entire let me, there is only, I would say, one or two villages that have exact what we would say a well defined and boundaries that is actually gazetted, right? The thing is that all different villages throughout this entire country actually have what everybody knows what traditionally every village use and have their marker as their boundary. Our boundary was the old San Antonio Road over
But was that
towards the
official? Was that an
Condemn Ranch Hill,
official?
right? And
Was
Laguna.
what I'm trying to establish, is there an official boundary, or is it could it now be encroached upon because it was never official and now they're trying to define it and so they could encroach on it? Well, is there an official documented boundary for a Mary Grove? That's
Well,
what I'm
there,
trying to.
yeah. What I'm saying, right? What I'm saying in the entire country, there is only one or two
Mr.
villages
Usher,
that we
Mr.
can say
Usher,
is
Mr. Usher.
official that you cannot
Okay.
encroach on.
Can I assist Mr. Usher here in answering your question, Mr. Morrison?
Yes, sir, please.
What has happened with the villages in the country? None of them have been demarcated officially to say these are the boundaries.
I see.
That is something that is yet to be done. Now, the consent order from the court, the Caribbean Court of Justice, in theory, is saying these will be communal lands for the Mayans. But the Mayans are not supposed to move beyond where they are until when they have completed the mapping
That's correct.
by the government with the Mayan group to determine exactly where the demarcations will be. So the reality of it is that the minister herself, Minister Balaramas,
Yes.
I'll try to get them to understand that let us together, because they are doing it together. It's the government and the Mayans doing the mapping together.
Yeah.
So
Can
I
we?
And you see
agree
that part, Mr. Koye?
Huh?
That part becomes problematic
That's
when
right.
you have people like Mr. Usher and the people who live in Yemery Grove and all of these other ethnic groups who have long tenure, who have been living in these villages so long, and they are not being fully engaged in the process
Yes.
of demarcating this land.
Okay.
All right, folks. Well,
Okay.
when you see, I don't know if you guys see it on the screen, but we're going to read out a few of the messages as they come in. We invite folks out there. If you want to comment, if you have questions to ask, please feel free to engage. How long has Laguna been a Maya village? Can you answer that, Mr. Usher?
Well, the answer that I can give you is that the leaders of Laguna came and several shows, and every time they come, the age of the village actually changes, right? Because it went from sometime in the 1960 to 1950 to the 1950s, and now they're way down to somewhere in the 1930s. So every time they go on a different show, the age change. So I can't really say it, but my mom is living where we are living now. She's 87 years old. She have been living there from she was 5 years old. And when she started living there, according to her, there was no Laguna. That's what she's saying. She's saying that they were, and I can tell you at my age, I'm 50 years old now, and I used to actually walk that same road that goes to the village of Laguna, and Laguna was 3 miles behind. And whenever you jump a little creek, before the village, it had a thing that beyond where the old San Antonio road is at, and it says "Welcome to Laguna," and it only had about 10 houses. At my age,
I
I
fully
can say
agree
that.
with you, Mr. Usher. When I was down there, and it was the period 1964 to 1967, I was the second in charge of the district at the time. No? In fact, if I remember well, isn't a member of your family was the area representative? Mr. Usher?
Right. Yes, sir. Right.
Right. All right. I remember him. No.
Yes, sir.
Laguna didn't exist then. There was no village like
Right.
Laguna in that period.
Yeah.
The villages are the villages that were all known to us at the time. The San Antonio, Dolores, Atoshare, Colombia, etc.
And no Laguna?
No, not during that period.
And
Not,
that
not,
was in the
not between
60s.
6 to 7, he said.
That
6
was
to
in
7.
the 60s, early mid-60s, thereabout. When I left there in 67.
Uh-huh. And there was still no Laguna village, as far as you
Not-
know.
As far
All
as
right,
I know,
let
because
me-
we had to go
So
we had to go to every village in the Toledo district. We had to visit every village periodically.
All right. Let me read this
So-
one. Yemery Grove, like other villages in the country, have traditional boundaries, and I think this is what you were getting at, Mr. Usher. Government needs now to do the official demarcation. So
That's
said
right.
Mr. Felix,
Exactly.
and I think that is correct. Yeah,
Yes.
at some
That's
point.
That's
But
that's
how
the
will that-
situation.
But something that Mr. Koyi mentioned just now, very important. A part of that consent order talks about long use and tenure. And so it even brings into question how long has Laguna been in existence? While with Yemery Grove, you can go back to the Topco days with the factory being there for many, many years before.
That's right.
Right.
And
What-
the point
what-
I want to make also, and I hope I'm not bringing this to create any conflict, but as you know, under the law, where you have squatters' right, which in the case of the public sector, the period I think is less than the private sector. One is
8
17
years.
years and one is 12.
12, okay.
The Toledo district is what I would call a very cosmopolitan society. It has the Mayans, it has what we call the East Indians,
East Indian.
it has the Afro Creole, we have some mestizo there. But if you look at some of those villages or areas which were occupied by the Afro Creole and by the East Indians, they have a right to squatters' right because they were living there and undisturbed.
Yeah, but not only squatters, right? If it was unoccupied, if it did not have continuous occupation by the Mayas, there would be no communal land claim in those times if it just happened in 67 when the Creole and East Indians and others were living there well before that time. You know, to me the
What they're
claim.
saying, because I did ask one of the lawyers about it, that is Mr. Marshall, is that the consent order will supersede the squatters' right because they would say it came before. But where there are areas
But
that
there were
will
no
not be within,
occupation there, mister. There was no occupation. You mentioned it that Laguna did not exist at that time.
no.
Therefore,
I am saying, no. I'm not referring to Laguna. I am
oh, in
saying,
general, in general.
right, that you have
Okay.
the East Indians that were
Yes.
squatting for years in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Garifuna that
Yes.
were really living. If you take that whole Mofadai area, that was where they started one of the first rice fields in this country, the cooperative, the Mofadai cooperative. And all of those lands people were squatting on, they were not Mayans. They were either Garifunas.
Yeah, but
Some of them were
Mafrodai is
Afro-Creole.
in a problem right now, Mafrodai Barranco. But then my thing is that I understand all of this, and I'm saying have the Maya, we'll call it cease and desist, have them wait so the government could do their part. They shouldn't
That's
still,
right.
go
Yes,
and they
yes,
build
yes.
and they construct cement structures and things like that. Have the process, make the process do a
Yeah.
fair
Well,
share, and then they
And
demarcate and things like that. And
and
they're not doing
also
that.
and also, Mr. Usher, all of these other chairmans have to be a part of this conversation as well.
That's
What
right.
ends up
Yeah.
happening, the conversation seems to get one-sided. And I'll give you an example.
They broke up.
For some reason, when we talk about this Mayan communal land in general in that area, take Emery Grove, for example. So long you have subsistent farming, you have different ways that these people are accustomed to using their land.
Correct.
Yet we speak as if only the Mayans are the
Mayans.
ones who use the land in this certain way.
Exactly.
Well, I'm wondering though, if with this consent order, there's been some ridiculous figures thrown out, like 3/4 of the Toledo district, the Mayans are claiming 1,000,000 acres out of 1,000,000 and 0.1 something acre.
That's
Do
just
you
greed.
know anything about that? Is that true? And how close are they to getting that in effect actually? Mr. Usher, can you answer that? Do you see the move for them to establish
What,
themselves on that much land?
what,
Yeah.
well, to be honest with you, what the Mayans are claiming here in the Toledo district, if these people have exactly what they want to claim, then there'll be basically nothing left for the other ethnic groups. And that's the truth, because if you actually would have a look at the map, the way they are overlapping into Emery Grove village, it's like they're taking more than half of our village. And then remember we have Laguna on one side, then we have San Marcos on the other side, right? And San Marcos is a village that actually started way beyond way after Belize had gotten its independence, right? San Marcos is a newly farm village, and the thing is that we also will be having problems. San Marcos. I have seen a indicative map that was sent to us that said that it was a government proposal map. And that when I saw the government proposal map, man, I was shocked, because actually then Emery Grove would have been probably chopped in like 2/3 of Emery Grove probably, or something around that would have been taken away to give either to Laguna or to San Marcos village.
So far, what has been the resistance from these villages that these Mayans are trying to encroach on? Has there been any physical
Well,
confrontations
what
as
happened
such?
is that no, never. I
No
must say that what
confrontation
happened
from
is that right, and nothing 0-0 from Emery Grove. What happened is that actually when the Mayans or chopping when they're laying cement pillars, when they're cutting survey pegs. Nobody from Emery Grove actually goes out there and try to see or do anything. As soon as somebody from Emery Grove go and stand on the road, which is a government road, there is a problem, and the accusation is, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as I believe, so that they can take something to the CCJ to say, you know what, we are being threatened, and because even if you would watch all the media houses, the pictures and the recording that they show us will show that there is no aggression from Emery Grove, and that at no time nobody have actually confronted anybody in such a way that would cause any friction or something like that.
Mr. Osha, I have a question. Do you have an idea now that what the other Carib and Creole and East Indian and
Yeah,
other
maybe non-Mayans.
non-Mayan area would comprise of, if they just total those and say what percentage of the total pie that would represent, if they were given their just or those area? And also, do you believe that once you get your portion and you're satisfied with those areas that have historically been your boundaries, that the rest is to go to the Mayas? I'm just asking that question in a general kind of way to get some idea where we are or how this pie could be split.
Okay, well, what I can say to you, that if the Mayans actually get what they are claiming, there would be basically nothing. When I'm saying nothing, nothing will be left for the youths from Emery Grove, for the youth from Jacinto, for the youth from every different ethnic group that is non-Mayan. There would be nothing left, so that it is like they're saying, just remember this, that okay, because if you listen to Miss Christina last week, she's saying that anything that is not property, basically including the national land, and so would actually go to them. So what would we do, or what will we be doing with our kids and our youth that actually needs to build? They need to do just like the Mayans, to actually to do their farming, and because we have a life also, right? So the
That's
thing is
right.
that if they get what they're claiming, and what will we do? Right? What will we do? Where will we go? Because remember, yes, we may be Creole, we may be people of African descent, but we hunting, we fishing, we do exactly what the Mayan do, we plant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I believe as Belizeans, I think that everybody should be treated evenly, right? So that is it for
I support you 100%, because what they refer to just now on the screen, which I agree with, is what they call the traditional boundaries.
Yeah.
Which came as a result of people occupying it for many, many years. Traditional boundaries, you cannot have traditional boundaries being limited as boundaries, because then the population will increase.
Exactly.
And you can't landlock the Garifuna and landlock the Creole, because the Mayans want to have all these lands. No.
Yeah.
These villages that today are traditional boundaries, that must not be the end of that village, because the village has to grow.
Exactly.
Yeah, let me read this one, if you will. Good night. I'm from the dump area. Our settlement has been claimed as well by the MLA, because the other village, Big Falls, has laid claims to our area, and we as a people are not happy with that because we were not consulted. Now, let me ask you a question. Obviously, the MLA are following a leadership. They are united. How are we looking with the non-Mayan villages? Is there unity there? Have you guys come together and said, we need to stick together to fight this? Obviously, the Creole Council has stepped forward to help, and that is admirable. But are the villagers down there coming together?
But G. Michael, before Mr. Osha answer, to be fair, I think all non-Mayas they want to come together. They want their voices to be heard, but we need support. We need financial assistance. We need lawyers. We need people up there that could guide us properly. And that's the thing. If you look who they carry the Mayas and things like that. They have backing, they have the support. You
Well,
Do you
understand?
guys, you
And
guys get in? Do you guys get any
and
money
we
from the
need that.
government,
We don't,
Do you, Ms. Gavin? Do you guys get any support from the government or any organization to help you with your cause to
No,
kind
we
of
don't, and that's the
representation?
thing, and that's why we're struggling, because there is so much that needs to be done. I
How long
mean,
have your
Amerigo is only
organization been in
one.
place? How long have your organization been in place? Because I'm just wondering why a
We've been
structure
in
have not.
existence from '95. So we're fairly young, I would
Yeah,
say, still.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
you get no international support, of course, and the
Yeah.
Mayans do. So
Yeah.
I
And
think
that's the
that
thing, they
makes it
have, and
unfair.
we need that backing, we need that support. And I've been telling Mr. Osha, this case, this is a very, and this sets the stage for all other non-Mayan communities. And we need the support of somebody to guide us through this process,
And what
because
are you
all
guys
other
doing? What are you
non-Mayan
guys
need the
doing to
same
try and
assistance.
what are you guys doing as an organization to get that support and so you could have this a legal defense for your for your council and Creole and all the other non-Mayan
Right now
villages?
we're only trying to look to see who knows who and who could give us, if not come to our aid and present, at least give us some behind the scenes assistance, maybe technical, to say, oh, you need to go in that area, you need to look at that. But we need somebody to stand by us and with us for these causes.
Is the will
Correct. And
there?
And we don't have that.
I think
We
this
don't have
kind of
that.
I think this kind of goes, like what Marlon is saying, to a bigger issue that we face as Afro descendants. The idea that how do we unite our cause totally together and find those people who will help us in terms of getting to these solutions that we need.
Well, there are
The
two
thing
things you
is, our
need.
council being a not for profit, for a while we have been so constricted in the things that we can do. But looking at this issue now, it goes wider than just what our core areas were for our first founders had in mind. That we definitely, when Mr. Harold reached out and we see what is happening, we said, as a council, we need to take this issue on.
So
And what Mr.
you're just
what
getting
Mr.
involved in this issue now with this in addressing the communal land claim against the Mayans, you or not against them, but to ensure that the other
that
groups
what
have
is
proper
done is being done
representation.
fairly. But I will
Yes.
tell you this, there should, when the consent order was passed in 2015, until the government established a protocol, we shouldn't have been even having this conversation about what Laguna is doing. There
That's
should
right.
have been desisting until this protocol was established by the conversation with all the communities involved. They have consistently shown that, you know what, we don't care what the government does or how long they're going to take. This is what we're going to do. And this particular administration is allowing it to happen
Well, you
more
know,
and more.
there are two things you definitely need. Number one, and this is the big question: is there a will among the people, the non-Mayan people,
I
to
think
get
so.
something, stick together and get something done? The next thing you need is a leader, a spark plug. Like the Mayans have Christina Cook, who's
Yep,
out there.
yep, that's true.
She's vigilant, and
That's
again,
true.
like I said, she has that leadership skills.
Yep.
And I wish she wasn't just applying that for Mayan use, but for Belize as a whole, because certainly I'd like to see some of the qualities that she displayed in our leaders up there
Correct.
in politics. But that
But
being
don't you all
as it
have
may,
a? Sorry, can I ask you a question? Don't you all have at this time a group that you all have like an umbrella group that represents the other ethnic groups other than the Mayans? And the reason why I ask it, especially because in the consent order, when the court ordered that they have to put up a fund, and I think the fund begins at 300,000. The fund was to assist in trying to find the solutions and the problems, or at least, sorry, to assist in implementing the consent order. So by inference, when the court was speaking to the government in partnership with the Mayan group, by inference, that had to include the other groups.
Yes. Yes. So they should be part of that fund.
That's right. So to me, if you all get yourselves together as a group and register, not just say, well, we come together in a loose form.
Yes.
Register yourself as a legal group, legal, not individual and just a name. You don't go and register a trading name. You register as a group, legal person, just like the
Yeah.
Mayans did. And once you have your legal person, an umbrella, you can make your demands because by right the government have to include it.
Yeah.
The court had never intended that it was the Mayan and the government to sit down and decide how they want to share the land. They cannot do that.
Yeah.
They have to include you all, but you all
All
have
right,
to assert
all
your
right.
rights.
I'll draw a parallel to this. Last year, if you were following the news, you would have noticed that when the People's Constitutional Committee was being put together, the government had decided to leave out a representative from the NKC, the National Creole Council. They had included all sorts of people from all different groups and forgot the majority, because we're still the majority population in this country to have representation. So what you are saying, Mr. Koye, is so true. But you know what is the sad part? In 2023, we should not have to be fighting with any government to be included in these discussions as Afro-descendant people.
In fact,
And
I think that they had amended it to include you all, right? They amended the schedule.
Exactly, they had to amend
Yeah,
it.
but they
But
didn't
why did they have to
but
do
it was
that?
an
Because
afterthought.
we had to agitate for it.
It was an afterthought. If you all
Exactly.
did not, they would not. Now, how can you? Our population, the percentage of the Creole in this country today is 23% of the population. In 1981, we were 71%. But we are still second only to the Mestizo. We are bigger than the Mayans. The Creole population alone is the second largest in the country, and only the Mestizo is the largest at 51%. So
And
how
with
can
this
you,
issue, when you
how
add
can you
in,
form a piece of legislation
uh-huh,
where you're going to have a cross section of civil society, and you will leave out the Creole when they
exactly.
represent the second largest population in the country? But anyhow, they were included. Now you
We're
have to
included,
assert the rights, form a legal body, demand the rights under the same fund that the court ordered, because they had to put up 300,000 to begin with, and the fund will keep increasing,
All right.
and they cannot leave it out.
Somebody was suggesting that the Creole has been the longest resident in Belize, and I imagine, yeah. Well, if you, I don't know how you figure that out, but
Well,
certainly,
they have been there from the 1700s when
well, yeah.
Yes,
So
when the
if
when the
it's
slaves
it's
were
the
brought
mixture,
there.
everybody mixed together, no?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards is saying 20 to 25% of Toledo land makes up the Toledo district. Well, I believe it means Belize land.
Yes.
That's the reason why, and it cuts that out on me there. Mr. Fox, DJ is agreeing with him, and we can name off our founding ancestors and family trees. Okay, the Creole have been here. The Creole Council is standing up. How do you guys believe that you can make a difference and have some effect on what is happening there? How has it been going? Are they listening to you, Creole Council?
I think they are. We had asked, as I mentioned, for a meeting at least with all the non-Mayan communities. We asked to meet with, or they actually reached out to us surprisingly. Minister Dolores Balaramos, the deputy, and we had a real long discussion. Each community went and they present their case, they show their map, they went in length to discuss their situation in depth, and they left from there with feeling that something is going to be done. Minister Dolores listed what all they're going to look into, and I think it's from there it's just to follow up. And
Yeah.
from our point of view, we just set the stage to have them hear the non-Maya communities so they
Yes.
could see
I
and
think
hear for
Mr.
themselves what's happening.
Yeah, I
And
think Mr. Cowie made a good point that the map has to be such that it's not just addressing what the current boundaries are if it's limited, right? but it needs to be such that it includes the growth for the future, because what we have is
Yep.
a very small, relatively small percentage of Belize population claiming 20% of the entire country, right? So we somehow need to figure out quickly how we are going to make adjustment to that. You cannot give 5% of your people, I'm sorry, 20% of your country.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let me go with this one. Have any of the
Yes.
41 villages Christina is claiming approve of the communal land rights tried to reach out and express that they have been trying to opt out and having trouble doing so? Mr. Usher, that is a question for you, sir. Have any of these, because Christina is claiming to
41.
represent 41 villages.
Yep.
We understand that many of these people are not in agreement with this communal land thing, and they would rather have their own particular pieces of land. What percentage of those villages do you believe are willing to stand up and say, no, we don't want communal land?
Well, okay, let me answer by saying this, right? I cannot actually give you exactly offhand what percentage, but what I can tell you is that I know that DAVCO Toledo, along with the NAVCO, that's a National Association of Village Council, actually did surveyed in last year, and there were several. They actually to visit about 14 villages, and from the 14 villages, there were only about 5 villages that wanted the communal land. All the rest of the leaders stated that they didn't want to have anything to do with the communal land system. Right.
How many
So
villages?
I
How
will
many?
not be able to give you a percentage from all the villages, but what I can tell you,
It
I am
seems to me
saying that they went to about 14 villages, and from
there's a little bit of a
and
delay, but it seems
yes,
to me
and from the
to me
14
that
village, we have about 5.
14. 14. All right.
I was going to say, it seems to me that
Mm.
whoever is organizing the Creole Council and the people in Laguna and all of those and
Yeah.
Arangove, they need to get pretty smart pretty quickly in start trying to determine the movements of the Mayans in that area, when they came
Yep.
there, where they settled, how much they actually possessed in those time frame, and have those in catalog so that you could say the village grew from 1967 from this area to this area. Then in 1980 it grew to this area.
But
Those
Gregory,
type.
I would,
that's kind of like
Mr. Morrison, I would,
Go-
sorry, G Mike, I would
go
just
ahead.
like to chime in and say that I think quite the opposite of that. Like what we keep asking Mr. Usher to do, what we need to do is look at our villages and make the case of how long we have been occupying these
That's true
lands,
too.
how long
That's
we
true
have been
too.
there.
But
It is not my job
they're the one that have
to
made the
fight.
claim. No,
Sorry?
they have made the claim. So you need to you need to disprove their claim
It's
by
like this,
proving your claim
Mr.
and also
Morrison, it's
disproving
like
their
this, right?
claim.
It's like this. You build a house and you put up your fence.
Mhm.
You know, anybody can stand on the street and say, you know what, that for me, that for me, that for me.
They're doing more than that, sir. They're building on your land now. They're building
Correct.
on your
But
land.
what I'm saying is that I know the genesis of what started me there, and I know that I have to agitate those in power to make sure that they keep them at bay. And I'll give you an example. When they had this,
But let me just stop for a moment. Just stop for a moment. They have the political power right now. They represent a significant percentage
no,
of
they
the
don't.
voting in
No,
that
they
area.
don't.
In that area, aren't they the
In that
majority?
in that area, they're yes, in that area, they're the majority population,
in
which
PG, are they
shows
not
that
the majority? In PG,
which
are they the
shows that for
majority?
us as the minority group, we are the group that needs the protection.
That's not the point. I'm talking about political power. In
Let
PG, are
me
they not the majority?
let me read this and try to get our people
Let me
involved.
just okay.
Go
Gretchen
ahead.
Smith said original maps from 1600s forward need to be located. It is essential to find all original land treaties and maps going back as far as you can. Has any attempt been made to do that? To find out where what is what in this village really, who lives where, who has what
That's what I
boundaries
was
where?
asking them to kind of establish.
Has any move been made to establish that? And let me go one step forward, Mr. Usher, because we applaud you coming forward. These other village chair people down there and how many non-Maya villages would you say there exist in Toledo to start with, and are they in unison with this move?
I would say I would say about somewhere around 12 non-man villages. And I can tell you this for a fact that all these villages, they are not in agreement with the way this communal land system is being actually carried out. Because what I can also say to you guys, remember this, right? Beside the communal land system, even though they are trying to take almost everything that we have, remember also that the government has this first-time land owner program. And what is happening? The same Mayans who the one, some of the same ones that actually lives in these villages, back villages, and the villages that are supporting the MLA, they're going to land department and they're first-time land owner. So they apply, and to be honest, for some reason, the Mayan land documents can be worked out. But right now, if we as Creole people go to the land department right now in my village and we ask for any sort of a land transaction to be done, they will tell us that everything is on hold because of this court order. But still, yet you're seeing other people, people come in and they get land, and and it's just so unfair. So what will happen if we don't watch exactly what will happen? These people will end up taking over the entire district. Because right now, for example, Punta Gorda town is, I believe it's somewhere around 50-50, they are very close, right? These people are getting documents for land, even though they want to have the communal land.
That's right. And they are getting 2 bites at the pie. When I asked Christina, let's look at the communal lands and say, well, all right, giving any number, which collectively it should be owned by them. But everybody that is in that communal land also can have right to individual land.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, they could end up indeed where they have ownership, not individually, but collectively in communal lands. But they also have individual ownership because they are allowed to buy lands and to get land from government outside of the communal lands. Well, I don't know if you're hearing me.
Yes, we did.
Hear you. I wasn't sure you're finished yet.
Yeah. I'm supporting the point that the gentleman is making, that they are getting individual ownership. Mm-hmm. And they also will have rights in the communal lands collectively now.
Mr. Usher, would you say that the government, the people in government are more accommodating to the Mayans, or are they sympathetic to the cause of the non-Mayan villages and maybe their hands are just tied?
Well, I'll answer you straight up. What happened is that whenever we as non-Mayans actually go to these different government agents, and so they are telling us that, you know what, it's a touchy situation that we cannot do anything about it. But vice versa, whenever the Mayan go to these facilities, they are being facilitated. So I don't really know what's the problem, but I can say since the last have seen at least a different tone of voice, but I am not seeing anything actually being done. I believe that we were put on hold, because I can tell you guys that these people, they're still doing what they are not supposed to be doing after this verbal agreement. And so the ministry had also told us that they would have given us in writing could have signed and to so that the police could have acted, and so far nothing has been done because they asked us if there was anything that we wanted to change before they actually they make a proper document, and it have been probably over a month now and nothing, and these people from Laguna, they're still doing what they they wanted to do. The thing is that they stopped for a little while and here they goes again. And I can
Well, what I
guarantee
was
you guys,
saying,
if I would take my villagers, I would go and stand on the road. It will be a problem.
well, Mr. Usher and Mr.
Right.
Kemp, what I'm saying is that you guys don't have the political power. Therefore, your own government is not listening to you. And therefore, you need to find a way to assert yourself so that they
That's
will
right.
listen to you. That's
I-
what I'm trying to establish, that so far they represent the voting bloc and the government is listening to them. Even when it tells you no, it gives them the consent to go ahead with what they're doing. And so you need as to organize yourself so that they will listen to you. That's the point.
Miss Garvin,
Agreed,
I
We
and
will,
I
we will work on that. And another thing that we're trying to do right now is to work with the diaspora. And it sounds favorable that we will get some assistance with the legal aspect. So we're working on those two areas. One, to do more of a collaborative fund for the non-Mayas and the legal aspect. So
we
those are our
know
two main focus.
we've heard the name Sharon Pitts, who's an attorney, and I think she works closely with the Creole Council. Could she maybe be enlisted to come to the aid of the non-Mayans down there?
I actually was thinking about it, and I'm scheduled to have a talk with her tomorrow, actually, in a different capacity. But that's one of the things. It's to look at her views and her availability. That's the thing.
Lois Young might be another attorney that could be approached
Yeah,
because
that's what
she
that's
has
what
expressed
my PR
interest.
person mentioned, and she actually signed up to be a council member.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's
So
to
so
reach
you
out
are
to. So
those are
we're
two.
going through our members list right now. We are doing continual recruiting of members, and we're going through our list to see the type of skills we have as a part of our list and to pull from them. And I think Louis Young is one of them.
Mr. Asha, do
um
go ahead, Mr. Kemp. Go ahead.
sorry, G Mike.
No, no.
I just want to chime in with this point, and I see somebody made it in the comment that after this ruling happened in 2015, and before the ruling in 2015, if we looked at history, and a part of what we have to do as a council is to create awareness, so our members have a good historical viewpoint of where
That's
we
right.
are and how we have come here as Creole and Afro-descendant people.
That's
From
it.
the 1980s to now, because of what has happened in the Central American republics beside us, we have had an influx of refugees, and in the case of Toledo in particular, an influx of indigenous peoples who were
From
hurt,
Guatemala.
who came in from Guatemala. And we have to ask ourselves the question, when we talk about the amount of people and their voting bloc and things like that, Mr. Morrison, the PUDP system has done a fantastic job of making sure that Afro-descendant people, the Creole population and the Garifuna population, are now at a disadvantage. We're at a
Uh,
disadvantage now, not just that we're the minority, we're at a disadvantage because we lack the resources and we lack the mobilization that we need. And so, as a council, we have consistently, as an executive, tried to figure out how, and we're next month will make a year, how can we better get the resources that we need and get those people who can assist us. But the wider picture that our people have to become more aware about is what happened from 1980 to where we are now in 2023.
tell
Does the
me.
Creole Council go ahead, Mr.
No,
Chairman?
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, does the Creole Council have a charter that they have developed, and do they have a website and all those type of things that people that are interested in what you're doing, your programs and different things like that, they could see it and its membership and how to join and all that? Because I'm sure those are part of trying to establish yourselves and getting the funding and representation you need.
Sure. We have an excellent person in charge of our PR right now. Her name is Sharon Pitts, and she's always working overtime on our Facebook page and also with our WhatsApp group that we have. It's a work that is tedious. Sometimes it might seem almost to some people like, "Oh, okay, we're kind of being overwhelmed with the messages." But the point is that these messages go out and are available so everybody can have an idea of the work that we're doing and how we move forward. Additionally, we have to put this out there that when we make the call to our membership to attend meetings, attend consultations, to collaborate with us, there is this thing amongst us as Afro descendants for some reason that sometimes it's only until it affects me, only till it touch me, then I want to become involved, and we have to move past that because we're seeing now that if we are not united, then we got to like Tonobal. If you
Well,
remember with
there are
Can
Tonobal,
I ask you a
there are lots of
question?
technology to make
we
it
end up
happen
so.
today. There are lots of technology to make it possible that you
Correct.
don't have to be present today
I
to be a
agreed, and
part of a
we
meeting
we
or
employ
organization.
we employ Zoom, Google Meet, all of those things, both virtual and in person, no?
Okay.
So, President,
And
you wanna
we,
chime in too?
yeah, I was just going to say, we do also have our website. And with our website, we're actually, along with the PR person, we're working with somebody. And this in itself needs finance. We need to try and update our website. We have it for a good period of time. A whole, we're actually doing a whole revitalization. One key thing that we're looking at is restructure our council by subcommittees. We have key subcommittee areas because what we realize, having just 6 executive bodies is not going to work. Everybody's busy and we're not able to carry out certain activities. So we have key persons like the PR. We have a subcommittee strictly for language and literacy, which is Ms. Silvana Oates. We have an area for financial resource, for the diaspora, for cultural research and documentation and things like that. So we have like 5, 6 different subcommittees whereby we try to pull skilled persons and they in turn form their groups to see how is it that we could tackle different areas so we
What
get
type
certain
of
skills
program do you
addressed.
have to attract membership?
Excuse me?
I said, what type of program do you have ongoing to attract membership?
The way how we attract members is to see we provide them with the list of opportunities, as different subcommittees that they could be a part of, whereby they could contribute and they take ownership of it and they're a part of the WhatsApp. So I keep on telling people, they're saying that, oh, they haven't heard about the council. What is the council doing? And I always say, tap yourself on the back and ask, what are you doing as a, if you consider yourself as a Creole person, what have you been doing and what you plan to do for the council? You understand? First of all, get registered. Determine what are your skills, which area of the subcommittee you want to be a part of, and then you do your role. You do what is it that you could to assist the council, and in turn the country, the Creole population, the
And
Afro
all of
descendants
Belize.
people.
Ms. Garvin, do you guys have a vision as to what you think would help to make this matter work out in the best interest of everybody and leave everybody being happy? Is there something that you guys think?
In regards to the land situation, or
Yes, the situation down there in Punta Gorda.
I think our vision is the same as I from our council, or from the Creole council point of view. African descendant is not only the Creole but all the non-Mayan. I think the way how we envisioned something would work is the same as what Sakoyi mentioned. We need to team up and have one voice be heard on behalf of all of us. Yes, they have Christina Koch, but if we put our voices together and have that person or that group be the representation of all what is happening right now and what is it that we want for all non-Mayans, it could work.
How about the
Something could
communal
happen.
the communal land matter? Can that work? Do you think there's some way that can work and leave everybody being
Well,
satisfied in this?
well,
Yeah,
Madam
go ahead, Kim.
President, if I could kind of chime in here, I think at this point that's beyond our pay grade. The highest court has already made a ruling
The consent
that
order.
needs to be implemented. Now, in terms of the non-Mayan villages, in terms of the
But
Afro-descendant population that is
Mr.
down there,
Kemp, the court did not say the government still have to define the boundaries. The court
but
says that
that's
they
what
are
I'm saying.
entitled. Yeah,
That
yeah.
correct. That the
So,
communal land does
But-
exist. It's gonna be the
Yeah.
way in which the government goes about defining
Implementing it.
these boundaries.
Yes.
That's the first thing.
So they still have to,
They still have to
consult with
consult.
the people down
Correct.
there too, though.
But
Exactly.
Mr. Kemp,
Yes.
Mr. Kemp, let me differ with you here. Firstly, what is the percentage of the non-Mayan population in the District of Toledo?
What is the percent of?
Of the
Yes.
non-Mayan population.
Right. Meaning the Creole, the Afro-Creole,
East
the
Indian,
the
Garifuna,
What's the
and
population?
and
What
Well,
Hispanic.
I think if we would go back to the 2010 census, because you notice we haven't gotten any results of the last census. But if you
Right.
go back to that last one, all the mestizo, the Creole, the Garifuna, all of them combined together in that particular district, I think would be somewhere probably close to half.
That's what Mr. Usher
All right.
was
Let's
saying,
say you got
50-50.
50%.
Yeah.
No, you represent 23% the Creole, the population of the country. The Mayans represent 11%. But what you'll find with the Mayans, a large percentage, more than 50, is concentrated in the Toledo district.
Correct.
Now, you have to use your numbers
Yes.
of the non-Mayan population.
Yes.
Assert yourself, be aggressive, to the point that where there is a split between those who want communal land and those who don't want,
You
then try
capture
to
those.
join with those who don't want communal lands and try
Well, I
to
mean-
effectively nullify the need for communal lands.
Yeah.
Are
Because
there
if-
East Indians down there?
And-
Villages comprised of East Indians
Yes.
primarily?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
They
there's
do.
a good
Well,
amount of
well,
East
and
Indians.
that's
let
why-
me
that's
add
why I was
something to
saying-
that.
That's why I was saying to Mr.
Mr. Usher
Kemp.
wanted to.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Usher. And go ahead, sir.
Okay, let me add something to that. We have several East Indian villages, right? And then also we have big village like Bella Vista, which is Latinos, Hispanic, right? And
That's right.
we also have village like Trio. And these people, they are not for the communal land system. They don't want it, right? But because of the umbrella that the MLA threw, they got caught in it, right? And so that's a problem. Remember, a village like Bella Vista probably have more than the population of Punta Gorda town, right? And
But-
Bella Vista and Trio alone, the population is is huge.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's
Mr.
why
Kemp,
I was
we-
saying
I think you might
in
be
this
taking
communal
a wrong
land
position.
system.
The position that you are
That-
taking,
Yeah, that's
Is that-
beside the Creole.
yeah, but the position you are taking
Yes, go ahead.
is that the court affirmed. It didn't give. It affirmed the consent order. No,
Yes.
nowhere would I suggest we do not carry out the court order.
yes.
But if you find that the numbers are growing against communal land, that in itself can effectively nullify it. If you take Bella
Agreed.
Vista,
Yep.
Bella Vista is the largest village, the largest village in the country. You're aware of that?
Yeah.
Right,
And that's
right,
why I said
exactly.
we need
It
to.
used to be San Antonio.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
that's
not
why I
San
said we
Antonio
need
any
to
longer.
understand
So
the numbers.
the largest village in the Toledo now is of Mestizo.
Mhm.
So if you all join together,
Right.
not that you're going to join with animosity and hostility,
Yes.
you're going to carry out your
With a
own campaign.
common purpose, with a common
Correct. Right.
interest, common
And if you
interest.
get enough of those on your side that listen, we are not against the consent order, but let them come to realize that it just won't work. Don't
Yeah.
give up. Be
But
aggressive, be assertive.
might the Maya themselves eventually realize that this is not going to work? It's not in their
That's
best
right.
interest, and in
No,
fact, they're
I don't
almost
think so. It's not the
they're,
Maya. It's a leadership. This
but
is driven
they're
by a group of people. Many of the regular Mayas may not be a part of this, and they have no say in it. And we have a few alcalde and leadership that's managing this, and they're sort of saying they're speaking for all Mayas, even but it doesn't seem to be that being the case.
I'm saying if we can maybe explain to the Mayans that they're quarantining themselves almost in a corner. They're
That's right.
doing something to themselves that people are fighting against elsewhere. They want to be left over in one area, which makes no sense. If you're a part of the country. I am hoping that one day we could come together as one country. We're too small to be divided like that with one group over here in this area, the next group in this area, even in non-Maya, being separated from everybody. We have to learn to live together. Are we going to see someday when that might become a reality? Is there a possibility of that happening?
I strongly believe that it can happen, gentlemen of the council. You have to begin your campaign on the grounds that while you believe that they have the rights, but it is not practical because you can get, the Mayans can get landlocked in that communal thing. And in the end, if you get the numbers right now, go out and do the campaign and do the groundwork. How many of them are opposed to the collective approach and want the individual approach?
Well,
And
that's
you
a
get
key.
them on your side and begin to show where this communal thing won't work. Because I don't
That's a
think it will
key.
work. It will
That's a
not work.
key.
In another few
Obviously,
years from now, a decades, 2 to 5 decades, you won't have Mayan as we have them today. They are beginning to assimilate and integrate.
obviously,
But you see, I don't believe I don't believe this push is by the regular Maya people.
That's right.
And the benefit of it is not going to be to the regular people.
Exactly.
It's going to be so whoever crown themselves as the leadership in this fiasco that I'm seeing. And so I think, Mr. Osha, as I was saying earlier, Mr. Kemp, you guys need to look at their position, look at your position, like Mr. Cowie was saying, look at where the strengths are, and start putting numbers together and organizing yourselves so that you could build a consensus and a team and a group that could represent your interests with numbers, right?
As Belizeans first.
As Belizeans, yes.
Right.
I mean,
Mayan
it is.
Okay, okay. Let me have a little input on that. In that area, what happened is that we've started we started something here in the Toledo district already, right? And the honest truth of the matter is that everything seems to be money, because to do an exercise like that is very costly. And the thing is that we had visited several villages, and we have made contact with a lot of these village leaders. But what actually happened? Actually happened because of finance. Actually, everything had to come to a standstill. Because I can tell you this for a fact, is that a report was given to the Prime Minister from NAVCO, which is the National Association of Belize, based on their finding, because they did an entire district tour. They spoke to all the leaders of every villages in the Toledo district, and they have given a written report to the Prime Minister, and they have actually wrote different ministries and everything. In fact, they had requested that they had if they were funded, that they would have been able to bring everything in writing and documented because they would have gone village to village and actually get the consensus of the different villages. But all of that was put on a hold. The reason for that is that most of the villages that are the Mayans from Belize that has been here for some time, they're not really supporting it. The villages that are more supporting these communal land stuff will be the villages along the borderline that would be the Guatemalans who actually recently had came
Yeah,
across, and that is the problem. And the leader of the MLA, they are using these people, and they're bringing these leaders. They're very educated, and they actually use their education to actually bully the people, and that's the truth. That's where we're at, and they keep on telling lies and doing what they need to do, and they have the finance to do it, and that's what
well,
have
you,
us
you
where
know,
we're at.
finance is
Because
one thing, but motivation,
before coming and
Willpower is
yeah,
necessary.
yeah,
Mr.
motivation.
Morrison, agreed. That is so key. You know, if our people need to see the value in this having their own land, they have to see that, you know, beyond all their struggles, that this is the struggle that we have to fight at this moment.
They need
You
to see
see,
the
you see, for
danger
one
that
thing,
exists also, the dangers that exist in
you see-
allowing something like this to happen and set
see
a
what
precedent for
happened.
other things.
Yeah, what has happened is a lot of these people, they had the same fighting cause in Guatemala, and now they come and walk over the border, and land is there to be gotten. And Belizean people don't seem to, it's just sitting there, and they're thinking, oh, it will always be there. But it will not be there if for example, they don't, this land claim proceeds the way they are, you know, the MLA is trying to enforce it.
Somebody was suggesting that we have not heard from the Ministry of Lands. Has the Ministry of Lands gotten involved in this to any degree? Has the minister gone down there? Has he been in any discussion with you guys, Mr. Usher?
Is that the deputy prime minister? He's
That
the
is
minister.
him.
yeah, well, yeah, what happened? I've had a brief talk with the deputy prime minister, and that is the reason I have said that, you know, at least they somebody have actually spoke to us, because I have been writing. We have been doing all kind of thing to get in touch with them, with the Ministry of Lands and different ministries, and we finally, I guess, through the Creole Council, actually got a brief talking with him. I must say that I'm hoping that something is being done, because I'll be honest with you. Whenever we have any meeting and whenever we bring up anything and we have the government attorney there, Mr. Marshall, his thing is that we must remember that there is a court order, and that the Mayans have
Yeah.
claim to the land, and that
Well,
that we must
so you
always
need your own attorney.
remember the
You
Mayans
need
are
your own
first, and
attorney.
right,
need your own
exactly,
attorney,
because
Mr.
not even
Mr.
the
Usher.
attorney for the government actually right? And next thing that I'd like to say right here, that everybody needs to know, because they have said that there was someone that was working in the CCJ that should have been looking after people like us who is non-Mayans. And so far, what I know, that I cannot recall hearing anything, seeing anyone, or getting questioned, or I'm asking anything from anybody that should have been representing us, or at
Well,
least
if they didn't
taking some of
consult
our
you,
concern to the court.
if they didn't consult you, they're not representing you.
All right. Mario wants to know what is
Right.
the goal. Do
And
we
that's
want to stop the court order, or do we want to prevent the communal land tenure? And that is a good question. What do we do? I'm wondering if we cannot just have the Mayan find out who are indigenous, and we can find that out. Who just came on, who have been here all the while. Give them each a piece of land. Give them enough land to if they want to farm a community, if they want to get together and
Yes.
have a cover cooperative, then let them do that. There's
That's
no
exactly.
but then
That's exactly.
I think that would be the
I would
fair
say
way to
that
do this.
from what I am understanding from all of us, it is with no intention to defy the court order. It's through moral suasion,
Yes.
to
Yes.
effectively nullify it.
Yes.
That's what I think we should be working towards.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
Not to defy it,
Yeah.
Well,
And-
but to the moral
and-
suasion.
Yeah,
to nullify it.
and you know, if they want to, like the chairman was saying, if they want to bring their private land into forming a cooperative communal land title, that is
Go
fine.
for it. Go for it. If
That
you
is
want to
fine.
surrender your individual land for
Very
that,
good point. They
but
can. That's right.
yeah,
Through the cooperatives.
yeah,
Yes.
but it's unfair for them then to want to have only that land only for themselves and yet be able to venture out and get lands in other areas, because that is
Exactly.
exactly what is happening. So I think
That's
that's
right. They
unfair.
want two bites.
Exactly.
Two bites
That's
at
a
the
part
apple,
of the
two times.
that's
They
a
want to
part
bite
that
twice.
maybe the court didn't take into consideration. That is quite possible there for that to happen. So and it's not gonna end well at all. I don't see. I see. Because I see Mr. Usher. I see that resolve in not only yourself but some of the other people I've spoken to, that you're not just gonna lie down and let this happen. Correct? They're not just gonna just take the Toledo district. I hope. Um, and that's why, while you guys have not been aggressive,
Exactly.
yeah, go ahead. You should be
Right.
resisting.
I mean, just imagine, right? Right.
Uh-huh.
Imagine that you actually burn and go in an area that you has actually no way that you actually call home except that area. Everything that you know is actually about that area, right? And then you have these people. Some of them you actually can recall when they came in the area, and these are the same people that are dictating now, and they're telling you, right? They're telling you that, you know what, this is our land, and basically you must move this and you must move that because
Yeah.
the court made an order, and we'll take it regardless of what you said. We don't care how long you have been living there, but the court made an order, so we will take it. And that's the truth, because I can tell you that I have people from my village who are working in their farm, and these leaders of the MLA actually went to the farm and telling that they are giving them such time to stop working in the farm, and they actually told some of them that, you know what happened, we're here to do farm inspection. And these are people who actually have document for their land, and these are how
You
crazy these people are.
if any people have been threatened with life and stuff by these organizations, the serious anything like that, or is it just
Yeah, well,
just harassment?
no, well, yeah, I haven't heard anything about life threatening, right? But what I know is that they have told them that, you know what, you need to take off your crop and let this be the last time you're planting. We're giving you 6 months. That, at least that was what reported to me from villagers. No?
I heard somebody put up about that the Mayans have seen the light. They have come together, and the Creole have not together. This now is from a person in the diaspora. And let me say this, because you mentioned, Ms. Garvin, that you guys were also seeking help from the diaspora. But Joe Cowie mentioned earlier that back in the 70s or 80s, the Creole was 74% of the population. We're now down to 23. And a big part of that is a lot of us have migrated to other places, while other people from other places have been coming here. So that might be a part of the problem. So it's not fair to suggest that the Creole have not gotten together while the Mayans have. But the Mayans certainly have wanted Belize to be their land. We, the Belizeans, have to also want Belize to be our land. But somebody said also earlier that we have to look at ourselves as Belizeans first, then Mayan, then Creole even, then Garifanu, whatever. But first of all, the interest of the state has got to be paramount and has got to be looked at as the first thing we try to get is what's good for all of us. I don't know. Anybody have an argument against that?
No, I think we all have to agree to that. I mean, we see. If I was reading something about how Israel actually started, and it actually started, and this doesn't have a parallel, but just to show an
But
impetus
it does,
of things.
It does.
No, I know, but how it actually started was Palestinians selling land to Israelis. That was the genesis of how the first settlers of Israelis went to Palestine.
Well, more than that, the World Court gave
No.
the
But the
Israelis
first
the land.
settlers, yeah. They did have that rule. But I'm saying the first group of settlers that moved there in the late 1800s were
Mm.
Palestinians selling land to Israelis, and then later on they said, "Oh, we're here. We're going to start building a state." And then like 35,000 Israelis moved there in one span, and now look what has happened. So there is concern that sometimes we don't realize how things could morph, and so we need to make sure that we keep it on the even. We are aware along the way of all things. Someone had mentioned to me, and I don't know how relevant this is also, but they also represent an extreme significant majority in our Belize Defense Force, maybe over 60% compared to their small population. And so those are things I don't know if our leaders
Well,
take those things into consideration when they are making recruitment effort and
Did they
so forth.
change? Did they change the height requirement? Because many of them are short. Eh?
Oh my God. um, Mr.
That-
Morrison,
I'm just saying.
Mr. Morrison, I'd just like to chime in with this too, now, that we look at the struggles and the socioeconomic conditions that our Afro-descendant people have faced. And we look at where we are now as Belize, even looking at the Constitution and this whole process that is going on. And I will say this, the Belize where we find ourselves in 2023, and especially waiting on the results of that census, to look and see how quickly we have changed, some internal factors, some external, from the 1980s to now, and to see where, as an Afro descendant group, we have not, the best way to say it, we have not gotten an equal share of the pie.
But
To
Mr.
be
Kim,
honest.
aren't we also in that statement there boxing ourselves in a corner also? When are we going to look at where we have grown as a country, where Belize has grown, and insist that everybody that comes here assimilate themselves with
Well, that's
our
the
culture and
thing.
paradigm?
That's the thing. I'll give you this example. I lived in Guatemala for 2 months when I was studying Spanish. Nobody kowtowed and learned Creole or English to speak with me while I was there. I had to learn enough Spanish to communicate and live while I was there. What have we done as a country? What have we put in place for when we have immigrant groups coming here?
yeah.
Well,
And
Mr.
That
Kim,
is
basically,
that
and
is
I will
true.
say this:
That is true, and
there is
also
almost a push or a force to try to get us to change something very integral that makes us Belizean, and that is why the Creole Council has to stand up for our Creole language and English on a whole.
yes.
well,
When you think about it, Creole as a language, Creole in
let
terms of what we have, you're not get more Belizean than speaking Creole. In terms of the food, you're not get more Belizean than rice and beans. So there is no parallel between what we have in terms of our gifts as Afro-descendant people, but what we have to remain vigilant about is what is going on in this country, particularly with those forces that we have in power and what they're trying to impose on us.
let me, Mr. Kenneth is making a point here that in the proof of the errors of court rulers, courts make intentional errors to fulfill specific world power. Well, that is an allegation, but and the
No, I think
agendas.
I think courts make the ruling that satisfy political
Okay,
objectives
so
that
yeah,
with
right.
larger nations.
Why behave like a court ruling is above error and is holy, a holy grail as such? Yeah, what can be done? Because if this is a consent order, can't both parties get together and realize that this is not going to work, and maybe we ought to reconsider what is happening there? Is there a possibility of that, or will it have to cost millions in lawyers' fees?
Well, as I said, the
well,
objective of some people is for a land grab. We already seen the discussion that this land was for traditional practices, and then we hear that some groups are consenting to mining rights and exploration rights and such. What does that have to do with traditional preservation of the land and traditional way of using the land. You see, so there's
Yes.
something bigger going on that we all have to be cognizant of, and that there are leadership people there that are looking out for their own objectives and benefits, and probably it will well be beyond the benefits of the native or the indigenous people that they are claiming to be representing.
Can I make a clarification here? The Caribbean Court of Justice did not make a decision.
That's correct.
It was the government of the day who appealed the decision of the appeal court here, because they were aggrieved by that decision that the MLPA had the right to what they were claiming. But then the
Mhm.
government changed its position and they go for a consent. Then the court affirmed the consent order. So it was not like the court heard in a
Yeah,
judgment.
that's correct.
The court didn't
That's
make a
correct.
judgment.
That's
The
correct.
court
That's correct.
affirmed what the two parties agreed to.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
I want to
So-
also say something about what the gentleman, Mr. Kemp, was saying. And yes, I may be accused of being xenophobic or, of course, against certain ethnic groups. But I can tell you for sure, in 1981, when the Creole population was 71%, and when the movement to decolonize this country started in 1950, I was 8 years old. And whereas I agree that in the peripheries, like the North and the South, there was also support for decolonization. But at the forefront of the decolonization of this country was the Creole. The epicenter of the resistance was in Belize City.
Yes.
The Creole led the resistance to colonialism.
What did the
Mhm.
Maya
So it
do?
was the Creole
What did the
that
Maya
brought
do
this
in that?
country to the
How did
promised
they
land.
factor in?
Huh?
How did the Maya factor into that move?
The Mayan was up down in the south. And then the mestizos were more in the north and they were in the west. And I'm not suggesting for one moment that they were not a part of the movement. But the epicenter of the resistance to decolonize this country was in the old capital, Belize City. And it
Yeah.
was the Creole that was in the forefront that
Yeah.
fought
The,
for
e-
this
the
independence.
epicenter of the PUP was the Creole population.
That's right. Under the union.
Yes.
It was the union
yes.
workers that
Yes.
backed the first partisan movement.
Yes.
I will say this, that I believe that the Creole was betrayed. I believe
There's
we
no
were betrayed.
there's no doubt about that.
Because
And
I
it was
think
by both
why is
political
it-
parties.
Now, why is it? I lived in this city. I grew up here. We were the tailors. We were the seamstresses. We were the cabinet makers. We run the restaurants. We run the lottery. We sell the marijuana. The Creole was running everything. Then they bring people from abroad, Asiatic. And this is where I may run the risk. But why do we need anybody to come to teach us to fry chicken and to sell lottery? So to me, our own Creole betrayed me in a sense.
Yeah.
So
No,
therefore, the famed colonialism, British colonialism that we fought, then they recolonized us.
Hey, Joe.
So let's be
let me-
honest with each other. I am not suggesting that fine the Creole needs to maybe assert themselves more.
Joe.
But in fairness to them, they were not delivered and the promissory note was never given to them.
Joe.
And let's be fair with them. Anyhow, I don't want to be sounding like if though I want to eliminate that 4%. But when
Can I-
4% of this population, 4%
Hey, Joe.
that was brought here, control
Jose.
the commanding heights of this economy today, the distribution sector is the dominant sector, and they pay the least taxes. They get the large share of the GDP. They have the financial power to buy political power and to enrich themselves and widen the gap between the have and the have-nots through some inequitable tax systems. I think they were
understand.
unfair to the Creole, and I am a Creole and I
understand.
will defend it.
And Mr. Koye, I will say this. It's a conversation that many people don't want to have, but it's the reality
That's right.
of what happened.
I am saying that right now, why is it that that consent order, when being effected, the Creole and the others not just the Creole, let's call it the East Indians and all of them. They should have to be an integral part of the solution to this problem. Otherwise, you're going to landlock them. Why you want to landlock the Creole and the others? I'm not against the Mayans, per se. But remember too, they had moved from here. They had moved Spain when they had gone over to Guatemala, and it was through integration, through marriage they came back. So let's not pretend as if so. I am not against them, but to me sometimes we are giving them a disproportionate amount. After the Creole wants to expand to, they want to expand. They don't want to be landlocked. So I think they're supposed to be given the same recognition, just like how the MPLA won their case. Gentlemen, take my advice. Build that Creole Council. You see that diaspora out there? 100,000 Creole is still in this country. If the diaspora represents 50,000 people, tell each one of them send $1 to help the Creole in this country.
Exactly.
Just like how the Jews were helping the Israelis in genocide. This one not be genocide. Let them send some money to the Creole Council and help them. That money alone will make it. Trust me. You need the willpower. You need the determination. And the money will follow you. But
and the organization. The structure of the organization has to be such that it's accountable, so that their agenda is clear, their purpose, and right. I'm sure the diaspora will fall in play. That was going to be my closing that you wrapped up there, Mr. Cowie, that the diaspora would be willing to support a move like that. But first, I think they need to organize themselves and structure themselves, and as you had indicated, to create an LLC or an NGO or however they structure it in Belize, so that they can have the representation and that legal entity, so that the funds that is sent can be used in a responsible and accountable manner.
That's right.
Mr. Osha, are you comforted that you have enough support behind you now, or has the Creole Council given you some hope, and have others come forward to make you feel like you're no longer just alone in this fight? Are you getting some comfort from that?
Definitely. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When the Creole Council came on board, man, I mean, that was a very, very big push, and actually, I mean, a big relief. We actually have people from all different ethnic backgrounds right now within the Toledo district who actually support us. We just formed a group now. The group name is the BCR. So numbers will they get there. So, and then also I also have the leaders from the non-Mayan villages who keep in touch, who actually we're all on board the same ship right now, and we all the advice and listening into everything that is been said, and definitely we'll actually take it and we'll use it wisely, because everything that you guys are saying is full, and I'm learning, and
when you have these meetings,
they're learning also, and
I was going to say, as you have these meetings and organize yourself, records of these meetings have to be kept and documented, and so that it's available for discussion and public use and such, so that it ends and have records of it.
Exactly. We also created a Emery Grove village page and stuff like that. And also everything that we documented, also we have on this page, and so we can make all these things available to the public now.
Right, minutes and everything of meetings, right?
Ms. Carvin, you used to be a secretary for the Creole Council for a while. You said a treasurer. Yeah. Is that it? A treasurer? Now, somebody was suggesting that the diaspora is not going to send money to be flushed down the drain, and that is obvious. is there a structure in place that people can be comforted in knowing that the Creole Council have firm objectives, goals that they're trying to achieve? Something like this certainly is one, and that in fact whatever is contributed, somebody is suggesting maybe a GoFundMe, which can get some help for the Creole Councils. They can do not only this work but other work. But certainly this is a noble cause, and we'd like to encourage you to keep going with that.
Well, GoFundMe is emergency funding. You need proper structure if you're looking to solicit funds from the diaspora. You know, people put money in GoFundMe, they give you a few dollars. But to me, the Creole Council needs sustained membership, sustained dues payment, and so forth to maintain
That's a part of it.
an ongoing program of representation and
I've
doing
seen
out
money.
noble work.
I've seen people raise some substantial funds through GoFundMe.
Oh yeah,
So I don't
people
know.
raise $5 million, but I'm saying that is emergency fund. That's
Well,
not how you
I
fund a
think
proper
for this
organization.
particular cause of like getting the legal assistance, I think they were referring to the GoFundMe for that.
And you may consider.
Yes,
But-
yes.
I was just about to say that what you want right now is not what you call a going concern. That will come after.
Yes,
You want a sort of an ad hoc,
yes,
meaning you want funds to fight a special cause,
yes,
the cause of the Creole in the Toledo district
yes.
or the non-MLPA people in the Toledo district.
Non-MLA, yeah.
MLA. So that
Yes.
must be a specific project now that you'll be taking on to defend the non-Mayan people in the Toledo district. Then after that, yes, your Creole Council continues as a going concern to in fact enhance and develop our culture and our way of life. But for right now, I think the urgency is like what they call the fire department. They need to
Yeah.
get to the place now.
Need to
out
get
that
to the fire and out it before it burn the
Mario,
house down.
Mario was suggesting that in fact he didn't see any defined goal. Deidre has responded that certainly the taking care of the Creole down there, the non-Maya villagers is indeed a goal. I was trying to get here it is, but all right. Yeah, your Mary Grove can benefit from court order if they can prove customary land usage. But is that the way we want to go? Do we want to counter the Mayan getting customary land by other groups getting customary land also?
No, but I
Is
think
that-
it would
is that-
stop. I think it would stop
Yeah.
the Mayan claim. But
Yeah.
I don't
How-
think
it
anybody
would-
should. No, if they could
How
say
would, how would it? How would it stop
Oh,
it?
because,
would it
because
stop
if
the
you
Mayan
said
claim?
if it says that we had customary use of this area, then for sure the Mayan, then there was a dispute as to who the ownership is, and they wouldn't be able to build on it. So, but I'm not. That's a long thing, and I'm hoping that we could get past some of this a little quicker, because all that is going to be tied up in court and stuff. So I'm hoping that the government could say to the Mayas, this is still in dispute. This still haven't been resolved. You cannot be building here. But what I was trying to emphasize to the gentleman, Mr. Usher, was that they don't seem to have political power. So they don't have the ears and the response of the government to act on their behalf. And they need to find a way to assert themselves and gain political power. And by gaining political power, if you have the minority in PG, you need to include some of the other Creole people in the rest of the diaspora Belize to enforce and to shake that power on the government leaders in those areas, so that you're not only dealing with the guy in PG that is listening to his constituents, but that it becomes a national and a party-wide issue for the people in government.
That was directed to Mr. Usher, I believe, right?
Yes.
Albert Edwards, Arden Edwards. We have our traditional boundaries, and he went on to say that they don't have to prove anything. Well, obviously you do, because if the Mayans are coming, and you have to establish your reestablish, if you will, and prove that you have been there longer than they have, or long enough to also have a right to that land. So I think you yeah, that is something a goal that we have to continue to promote, continue to support the villagers down south. I can say it to you, Mr. Usher, that you're not alone. That there are many people who have seen what is happening and we don't like it. I, for one, again, I will make it quite clear. I was very impressed with Christina Cook. I was impressed at the way she presented the case, how she was deliberate and rational. But I do not agree that communal land is a good practice. It would not be productive. It would cause problems down the road, further down the road. I believe Mr. Cowie made the point that eventually they won't be what they are now, and what happens then to the communal land? Does it really get passed down, or do we get a group of people who takes control of this and decide that we know when control all the resources and everything there? Because I'm not even sure it works. Do they just all get their money and put it in a pot like a small government? Because then, in fact, that would then lead to balkanization.
Balkanization. Yes, yes, yes.
And that's, yeah.
That's the real thing. And that's the real thing. And
But
and
she
it might not
bristled at that
happen.
point.
It might, yeah, but see, those things may not happen today, tomorrow. But as you start to separate and structure yourself in those ways, it becomes the next likely outburst of what's being created today. And so that's the concern.
I do not think it makes sense for us to partition off ourselves as such. We're a small nation. For us to survive, we have to find a way to live together and unite. Going one after the other is not. We have Harold Usher is saying something here. Let's see what we're dealing with. International law that goes way beyond the ruling of the government of Belize. The Mayas are claiming stewardship of the land that they have resided on thousands of years ago. This is not new in Belize. It is happening across Turtle Island. It's listen. We understand all of that. Again, though, if the Mayan are saying the indigenous because they go back to even pre-boundaries time, then all of us are indigenous. All of us are from the planet Earth. I didn't come here in a spaceship. Certainly. So go ahead. Who is that?
Yeah. Let me say something here too. I just you guys were speaking just earlier about what would happen. Just to enlighten people of exactly what has been happening already. I went along with the members of the land department to do farm inspection within the area behind Emerald Grove that Laguna is trying to claim. And when I went behind the leader of the MLA house, they had 20 acres black marked out, well surveyed, and all of it was claimed by the husband of one of them. And this is exactly why they're looking to try and grab all the land, because this person isn't even a Mayan person, right? And this person told the land officer right in front of me and in front of the police and everybody else, every parcel that we actually visited, this is mine, this is mine. There was not even one land that was marked out for plantation purposes or anything that he could have said was for one person from Laguna Village. But still yet they're claiming it, right? And he also, about 2 miles away from where we started, he had a 2-acre black chop on the hilltop that he's also claiming. And so this is showing you exactly what these people are out for. It's a land grabbing thing. Because I mean, come on, how could you be claiming almost everything behind the Emerald Grove village that is within the boundaries of Emerald, and then you are saying that it is for you, for one person?
Well, the chairman said a good thing. He said that Christina came to us well prepared, well versed in her subject, organized, and defended her position well. All I could say is that the community from Emery Grove, the Creole Council need to follow suit. They
And the
need
rest
to,
of the villages, the rest of the
yes,
villages
and the
have to
rest of the
come online.
villages. Yeah,
Yeah,
they need to,
and all of us actually.
yes, all of
Yeah,
us.
but,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, allow me to make a clarification here, or at least maybe to bring some enlightenment. I read the court decision, the 37 pages.
Yes.
As we all agree, it was not a court decision.
Yeah. It was an
The court
agreement
just,
between the
all the court
parties.
did was to affirm.
Yes.
And then the court went on to give a decision regarding the damages that were being claimed, which they did
Yes.
not uphold
Which
that
they
one.
rejected. Yes, they
No,
rejected.
when you look at the court ruling and the very cases that he brought up, and he cited we had about 300 million indigenous people in the world. One of the things that we need to understand is that in the theory of the law, it seems to make sense. But in the practicality of it, where
Yes.
Belize area of
Yeah.
Toledo
Yes.
is so small,
Yes.
and the population to the area compare to
Yes.
these other indigenous areas where they have given the same kind of decision.
Right.
They are talking about some of these areas where the indigenous people are, which were given this right under international law and natural rights. These are what's the size of Belize, the
Yeah.
whole country.
Yeah.
So to me,
Yeah.
while in theory,
While we could talk about,
it seems to be the right thing to do, the
Mhm.
problem will be the application because of the circumstances.
Yes. Yes.
And that is where the government will find it very difficult to carry out that court order.
Well, I agree with you. It is difficult if the government does not have the capacity to impress upon the people that are making the claim the reason why, and to satisfy in a way that the area that they're claiming does not serve the interests of the country. I think I spoke once some time ago about having probably like a three-tier type of communal land. One where some area, small area, is given like the chairman was saying, and then a more inclusive area that include private property, and then an even more inclusive area where the Mayan are just given, and all the community are given the right to engage the government whenever they are making concessions in those areas, as it would affect their livelihood and their way of living, and basically an environmental impact type of report that deals with that. And so whatever benefits is also gained by those concessions and stuff, that the community first make sure they benefit from it, and not individual politicians that sell off these lands and then turn around and get the benefits from it and pay little to nothing to the treasury. Because in some respect, you have to admire the indigenous Mayan people for stopping the government from doing those things to them and to the nation of Belize.
Yeah, guys, we're coming running out of the time. Mr. Usher, I think the thing is that I would like to see yourself, your Remy, and the other villages there that not get aggressive, but be resistant. Not let them push any further than they can go. And in fact, by law, they cannot do it until the government has demarcated that area, as far as I understand. You need to stand strong. We all need to stand with you. We need to understand that what is happening there can set a precedent that will be maybe practiced elsewhere. They have Mayans up in Cayo. They have Mayans out up north. What happens when they want their piece of land also? Then, of course, there are, it seems, encouraging the Garinagu in order to get them in line with their agenda to also claim for their customary lands, if you will, and their indigenous status, which I don't believe will be successful. But at the end of the day, all this to me seems very divisive, and it's not good for a small nation like the Belize to stand that kind of way, and we won't stand at all. It's after 9 o'clock. Any final words from Ms. Osha? You got a final comment that you'd like to put in? You're not here. All right. Miss Garvin, your mic is muted, but with a one here, yeah.
No, at least from the council part, I love the discussion so far, and we know for a fact that there's a lot that needs to be done from our part as well as the entire non-Maya group communities now. So we acknowledge that we are working again with the diaspora. So that's our plan, and is to see how is it that we could start with Emery Grove, and as you mentioned, there are other communities who are in the same situation, so it's to prepare for them after that. So this is we call it a learning process. So once we get Emery Grove on the way, then it's to continue with that process.
But it's certainly a good move by the Creole Council, and we'd like to see you active and hope to see more of you in the future. Mr. Kemp? Yeah, Mr. Kemp, you there?
Yes, I'm here. They say you have to deal with all the issues there at one time. You can't become one issue. But this is the main burning issue that we have in front of us at the moment. But I just want to add that as a council, we are in constant communication and discussion with looking at the Constitution. We have a whole subcommittee in charge of that, and we have been consulting and meeting and going over different sections of the Constitution with our people, and we invite membership to be a part of those meetings. They're both virtual, and they're also, we've had 2 sessions at Anglican Cathedral College. And so when these things, the call goes out to consult, and the call goes out by our president to be engaged, we call our people to be ready and in fighting fashion.
We need to come together, and we certainly will need the diaspora. I believe the majority of the Belizean, the Creole people are in the diaspora, but I'm also convinced that most of them still love Belize very much. Before we go, guys, we want to offer condolences to the family and friends of Glenn Tillett. Remember, he passed away. Joe, I know he was very dear to you.
Yes.
We also need to pass condolences to Buddy Brown, who lost another member of his family. He has taken a lick this year. 2023 has not been very good to Buddy Brown. He lost his sister, his brother, and now his nephew. And of course, Derek Gill, a good friend of mine who passed away this past week also. So guys, let's stand strong. Let's keep the fight. We don't want our Creole people to be pushed off of Toledo the way the Palestinians are being pushed off of Palestine. We need to stand strong, and let us still remember that situation in Palestine and offer our prayers up for those children that are dying needlessly, and many civilians that are just being wiped off the face of the earth. It is not good at all. Guys, until next week, Joe, Greg, thanks again. And folks, please visit us again next time and tune in, because we're really, we're trying to do this and let this grow to where we discuss the issues that needs to be on the front burner, that needs to be looked at in a serious way. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Good
See
evening,
why?
all.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you
night,
guys for
Tom.
joining
All right.
us.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Fire! Ability to cut in the air. Not only destination, but the journey. Smoke, smooth, that's the group on a journey. My alright. Don't make me. Okay. Well, my days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark. Then dog them bite much worse than them bark. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark. Then dog them bite much worse than them bark. They tried to commit me to slavery, use me as human machinery. They did not expect such bravery. Oh, me dreadlocks, they think me crazy. My grandmother, her name is Daisy. Say young man, no make nothing faze me. Smoke me Buddha, watch me eye hazy. Me no rookie Yankee dollar, they think we lazy. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark. Then dog they bite much worse than them bark. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark. Then dog they bite much worse than them bark. Have me standing in a welfare line, cause I am black, feel me, no mankind. Move the chains from my feet, put it wrong me mind. Cheating me like I committed a crime, but I know it was only a matter of time before I get paid in full for my rhyme. Even though it was a tedious climb, I held on to mine like a grape to a vine. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark. Then dog they bite much worse than them bark. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark. Then dog them bite much worse than them bark. Boom! Fire! Military to God in the air. Not only destination, but the journey. Smoke! 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 That's the group on a journey. My story, alright. Don't make me. Again. Well, my days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark. Then dog they bite much worse than them bark. My days was numbered and dark when the ship from Africa disembarked. I jump overboard, swam with the shark. Then dog they bite much worse than them bark. They tried to commit me to slavery, use me as human machinery. They did not expect such bravery. Oh, me dreadlocks, they think me crazy. My grandmother, her name is Daisy. Say young man, no make nothing